Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to my channel. It's Josh. Let me do a quick wrist check here. Today I'm wearing my Orient Monarch, and this is Orient's hand-wound only mechanical watch. I love this piece, and I really don't wear it often, so I thought I'd put it on today. I love everything about this watch. I love the typography, the numerals here. I love the rail track for minutes and seconds, and then also on the power reserve. I have mine on sort of this faux weathered, faux vintage-y leather strap that I found for $8 on Fossil's website. And I'm wearing this guy here for two reasons today. First, because we've got sort of this kind of vintagey, very earthy, black and brown style setting here going on my desk. But also because I really wanted to make a statement to some of the people who have started coming on over to my channel and leaving comments on my videos. I'm going to keep this brief because nobody wants to hear this, but I've been getting a lot of ugly, shall we say, comments on my videos from the people who feel like they need to put others down to make themselves feel better. And I don't tolerate that kind of behavior. You guys know that. I don't believe that anyone should feel like less than somebody else because they don't have a collection of Rolexes. So I have put up content filters on my channel. If you want to leave an ugly comment like that, it'll get marked as spam, and if I don't do anything about it, it'll just automatically get deleted. So anyway, with all of that being said and about a minute wasted on those people, we are done with that. Today, we are diving in for a one-year anniversary birthday review. So with all that being said, today we are taking a first 1 year anniversary, 1 year in kind of look at my beautiful Seiko SARX035. This is a JDM market Seiko from the JDM Presage collection. This was my first JDM Seiko, actually, and I bought it about a year ago. It's a year, let's see, it is a year today, the day that I'm filming. It's been a year since this arrived at my doorstep. So you guys, if you watch my channel, you know that I will do, when I get a watch, I'll wear it for a couple weeks or a month, and I'll do kind of like a first look video, on how I feel about the watch, what I think, and so on. And then I'll come back, like, again, a year later or so, when I've really had a chance to get to know the watch, to wear it, to break it in, and then I'll come back and kind of give you my thoughts on, if I still love it, if I felt like it was a novelty. And then, generally speaking, I also wanted to do this video because I've gotten so many, wonderful questions and comments from people who are looking at buying this watch, asking what should one know if one is looking at, purchasing this watch, and so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I have a tendency to talk, so I'm just going to dive right in because this video I have a feeling will go kind of long. So I'm just going to jump in and start with talking about what I like about this watch. Okay, so first thing that I like. I absolutely love the design of this watch. I think that it is as close to perfect as one can get, in my opinion, for under $1,000. So let's just dive in with what I like about this watch. I'm going to save price and talk about that in just a bit. But the first thing that I love about this watch is how beautiful it is. This watch is so finely finished and so finely crafted that it really is, it's a spectacle to behold. It is such a... There's not one, area on here where I feel like, Seiko skimped on finishing, on quality, on the polish of the watch. I just think everything about it is so incredibly well done. I also think one of the things that I love most about the design of this watch is that I think that it is, while it is very modern in sort of the way that it is, everything is very minimal. It's not, supposed to be, vintage looking at all. I feel like it's very modern today, but I also feel like this design, because it's very minimal, will age very well over the coming decades. I have no hesitation that I'll still be wearing this watch in, 30 to 40 years. And it is definitely a piece that I anticipate having in my collection for life. Now, this watch does come with this stainless steel bracelet, and I do think, because I get a lot of questions about the bracelet on this watch, I do think that part of what you're spending your money on is this bracelet. Seiko has sort of a bad reputation for making really cheap, kind of hollow just not nice feeling bracelets. And this absolutely is not one of those. This bracelet is so finely crafted. It is so sharp, and I don't mean sharp in like, sharp edges. I mean sharp in its design and execution. So this is a 5-piece link, and you can kind of see that here if we look at it. So beautifully crafted. I love the design of this bracelet. So the 2 outer links, the outermost pieces on the bracelet, have kind of like this rounded edge to them, and you can kind of see that there. And then the 3 inner pieces of the link are sort of this squared off kind of prism-like design. And it's really that contrast of shape, again, so we've got kind of like this rounded domed edge here, contrasted with this very sharp, kind of very flat finished piece here in the center. And then in addition to that, we've got brushed links here on the edges and then in the center, and then we've got polished accents here between the two. And I think that that just makes it so incredibly detailed. You also have a really, really nice clasp here. We have a fully machined and brushed finished clasp here in the center. Really, really beautifully done. They managed to get this also to be really, really thin. So even when it's closed, you can see it sits really flush with itself. And this is a really, really comfortable clasp and bracelet to wear. Now, I took mine off because, for 2 reasons. One, this bracelet is really, really, I'm sure you can kind of see it here under the, even, I have my light kind of pushed back that way, and even without having direct light on it, you can see how much of a sheen and luster this bracelet has on it. It's not necessarily a downside, and some people were actually really like that, I'm sure. To me, it was very flashy. I felt like, this face is so minimal and so timeless, and then I felt like they put this really, really shiny bracelet on it, and again, personal opinion, but I thought that this watch would really look better on a leather strap. So, like many other watches that I have, I went to Shinola, and I found just a basic black leather strap. This is not an alligator, not a patent leather or anything. It's just kind of a basic black leather strap. This guy has 20 millimeter lugs, and so you can really put any kind of strap you want on it. But to me, I felt like a basic black leather strap with white contrast stitching really, really complemented this face. So that's how I've worn it for most of the time that I've had it. And to me, that really becomes sort of the ultimate expression of this design. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about cost. So in total, to get this to my door, it was $788. So I think the watch was like maybe $768 or something like that, and I bought mine through Seiya Japan, where I buy all of my JDM Seikos. I'm not sponsored, but I love them so much. And then I always pay the $20 for their DHL Express shipping, because it gets from Japan to my door here in the US in literally 2 days. So $788 in total to get this guy to my door, and I just think for $788, let's just say $800, you just can't beat that. Like, you can go out and buy something like, a Tissot or a Hamilton or, anything like that, and you're not going to get the same level of finish, the same level of polish, the same level of just kind of intricate detail and craftsmanship. This guy, because it is sort of mid to upper range in the Presage line, you get the Diashield coating here on the bracelet and on the case, and then you also get the Zaratsu polishing. And just, I don't know, $788, and you have a watch that I honestly think can compete in terms of, again, fit and finish and polish with something like, a watch that's twice its price, something that is over $2,000. To me, this can even compete just in terms, not movement, but in terms of overall kind of fit and finish. I think that this could go head to head with something like a Tag Heuer Carrera, like, the beautiful kind of classic, the dressier models in the Carrera line. Okay, next up, I really love the lacquered face on this watch. You guys know, again, same thing, if you've watched any of my videos for any period of time, you know that I absolutely love lacquered faces. And we can see that here as we're looking at it. This piece is so beautiful because you have a lacquered face, meaning that, the face of this watch is reflective, like it's got a shine to it. But then underneath it also, you have this beautiful kind of sunray finish. very, very subtle. It's most evident under bright light. So you can see that here. We do have a sunburst finish. But in anything, anything that's not like super bright sunlight or my, LED lights for filming, we get this beautiful lacquered face. When you have a lacquered face, I think what you get are really, really deep, deep blacks. And so it's not going to look like this. This guy has a matte face. So in certain lights and bright lights, this thing really does look gray, and you can kind of see the matte texturing on this dial. Even in the brightest light, when you look at this face, it never looks gray and it never looks dull, because with that lacquered finish, you get something that is so deep and so black. It's kind of like looking into, like a piece of onyx, or a, like an inkwell for a pen, where you get those really dark saturated blacks. I think that the lacquered finish on it adds just so much depth to the face. Staying on the face, let's see if I can get this guy to focus here. I talked about this in the original review I did on the watch, and I'm trying to get it to focus here with me. The indices on this watch, at a distance, they look like they are just your average applied indice. But when you get closer in, let's see if I can... I'm trying to like focus on my phone as I'm filming. When you get really close into these, you can kind of see, if we look at like the 12 o'clock marker there, not only are they so precisely cut and machined, they also then have sort of like a pinstriping texture on the front, on the face of the indice. So you can really see that there at like 12 o'clock. So can you see that there? Like there's a pinstriping detail. You can kind of see it on all of them now. There's a very, very subtle pinstripe on there. And what that does, like it's not, again, you have to be looking at it kind of this close up to really see it. But what that does is when light cascades off of it, it really, really makes the light, like legitimately cascade and kind of just, flow so beautifully off of them, because the light is kind of flowing through those channels in that pinstriping. So it's a subtle detail, and again, one that you really won't notice, I think, in day-to-day wear. But it is such a beautifully done element of this dial that, I think it absolutely is worth mentioning, and I bring it up every time I talk about this watch. Okay, next up. I really like the movement in here. I know that, some people are going to say, well, it's just a 6R15, and I get that. Like, I get that, the 6R15 is really just a workhorse movement. It's nothing really special. It's sort of akin to something like an ETA 2824, or a Powermatic 80 or something like that. One of the things I like about it, though, is that it is such a workhorse caliber movement. And what I mean by that is I like knowing that, if I ever needed to replace the movement or have it repaired, it's not some kind of, some super fancy tourbillon movement where, it's going to cost an arm and a leg to have it replaced or repaired. The 6R15 is great. I do think it's definitely a step up from something like the 4R35 movement that Seiko tends to use in some of their lower end movements and a lot of the Prospex watches that we get here in the US. It also has the Sprawn 510 mainspring, which means that it actually gets 50 hours of power reserve. I've also heard of people being able to regulate their 6R15s to near COSC spec. So I think it is definitely a very versatile movement as well. If you want to, try to have yours regulated or anything like that, that is definitely an option if you choose to do so. And then the kind of thing that I really, really love about this watch is this sapphire crystal. And this might be a little bit hard to show here. What I like about it is that the crystal on here has one of the best AR coatings I've ever seen. So what Seiko designed the crystal to do is basically disappear when you're wearing the watch. Now, it's going to be kind of hard for me to demonstrate that because, again, I have to have kind of a bright light for filming, and things don't always come across well on camera. But the crystal on here, like when you look at this watch in real life, and again, I don't know if this is really coming across on camera, but when you look at this watch in real life, the crystal really does disappear. Like, very rarely will you ever see reflection in this crystal that really will obscure the dial. I know that my light is doing it right now, but see, even here, if we look at it, like you can see that the majority of that, the reflection from that light, is on the face of the watch, not on the crystal, if that makes any sense. Um, so again, just kind of a really beautiful, maybe if I zoom in and then do this, like you can really see again the light, the way that it's reflecting. You can see that it is kind of reflecting on the crystal, but if you look at the chapter ring here on the outside versus where that reflection is on the face, you can see that the reflection is mainly kind of coming off of that lacquered face on the dial here. So anyway, really, really great AR coating, really, really beautiful crystal. Okay, so those are kind of the things that I like. I could sit here and I could honestly sit here and talk to you all day about, every little thing that I love about this watch. But because this video is kind of going long, let me just get into the dislikes. And there really aren't that many, to be honest. So I think the first dislike I have is what we kind of talked about with the bracelet. I don't know. I love the bracelet's design. I love how well manufactured it is. But I just think this bracelet is so shiny, and more so even than, something like a normal oyster steel bracelet. I don't know what it is that Seiko did to this bracelet, but the way that it shimmers and sparkles and the luster on it, it really, to me, it's a little bit much. Even on day-to-day wear with something casual, I think, I don't know. The bracelet on the SARX035 is a little bit more matte because it is titanium, and so that's why I chose to keep the bracelet on the 055. But again, with this guy, I felt like everything else in this watch is so minimal and so restrained that, again, I don't know, the luster on this bracelet, like if you like, super shiny things, you'll love this bracelet. But for me, it was a little bit much to wear kind of, whenever I was wearing this watch. Like this, again, is sort of my formal watch, so I'm wearing this with a suit. I'm wearing it with something where I'm not trying to call attention to, the bling on my wrist. So for me, the bracelet is sort of a dislike, but again, that's, very much just my opinion. And then, okay, the other thing that I'm not crazy about is the back of this case here. So with, like many other JDM Pro Specs models, even the SARX055, Seiko has this thing about doing, we've got that great sapphire crystal here on the front, and then we turn the watch over, and can you see this here? So it says, right here, it says top sapphire crystal. The bottom, this kind of like the exhibition case back here, this lens in particular is not sapphire, it is hardlex. Not a huge deal breaker, not a huge deal or deal breaker to me, again, because the crystal that's going to be taking the hits, really, the hits in the wear on the front here is sapphire. But I don't know, it just seems a little bit like a cheap out to me to do a hardlex on the back. The clarity is really good. Like Seiko does a really great hardlex crystal, a mineral crystal. The clarity is great. It's not anything that you would like. I don't think you would notice a huge difference if they had made this sapphire. I don't think it's a deal breaker here on this watch, again, because of our sub $1,000 price. But I do feel like, especially with like the SARX055, which is right around $1,000, I do wish that some of their higher end models that kind of share this overall design had a sapphire crystal on the back. And then the only other dislike I have kind of goes back to the bracelet, but I do wish that they offered a leather bracelet from Seiko, because I do think that Seiko does some really, really nice leather bracelets. They also do some really nice alligator bracelets as well. So I think that this would look great with like a black, like a genuine alligator strap, not just, leather stamped with the alligator texture. So really, really small, nitpicky thing. I know that this watch, this is one of those watches I think that was absolutely designed for its bracelet, but I think that it looks phenomenal on a leather bracelet as well. Okay, last thing. Things to know if you are thinking about buying this watch, if you're thinking about adding it to your collection. Like I've said, I think, in this video and others, this watch is an absolute steal. Like, this is such a great value for the cost, like value, cost to value, cost to quality ratio is so high on this watch. I don't think you'll have any regrets if you pick this up. I think I've gotten a lot of questions about how this compares to something like a SARB, like the SARB033. Some people have commented and they say, well, why would you buy this when you could just have a SARB? And not to say that the SARB is a bad watch in any way, shape, or form, because I think the SARB is a phenomenal watch, and they do share the same 6R15 movement. But the SARB it's not on the same level as the 035. This watch is really, really approaching Grand Seiko finish and quality. The SARB is definitely, again, I don't want to say it's a bad product. I don't want to say it is a lesser watch, but it is definitely a little bit lower in the overall kind of fit and finish. Like, especially again, when you look at the design of the bracelet of the SARB versus the design of the bracelet of the 035, this is really a cut above that SARB. It is just so much more, so much more. Considering that the SARB is going for around, like, let's say $500 now, street price, I do think that spending another, $300, so $500 for a SARB versus $800 for the SARX, I do think that you're getting a much more finely crafted product. And I think that you're getting a watch that, I don't know, the SARB is a great watch, but again, I do feel like the build quality of it just can't match the SARX. And then the last thing I want to say in terms of like what should one know if they're going to buy this watch is, people have asked me in the past about kind of resale on JDM watches, and I'm not going to get into it here because I've gotten into it on some other videos. Like most watches under $1,000 really are not going to give you that return on your investment. So I don't think that it's necessarily it's not like you are going to buy this and you're going to be stuck with it. I think you can definitely get out of it for, a pretty good sum. But I do think that, anything in this price range is not going to be a great kind of like investment if you're talking about resale. In terms of investment being a piece for you to love and to wear for decades to come and then hand down to your kids one day, this is absolutely going to be that kind of investment. So again, thanks so much guys for watching this video. I hope that it has helped you. If you have any more questions, please, I always say, leave them downstairs in the comments below. I always get back to you as quickly and as thoroughly as I can. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.